And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to talk about a couple of running backs that switched teams this offseason. We'll talk about Derrick Henry, his recent comments, trying to get to a Super Bowl and winning it with the Ravens, as well as the Texans, and them talking highly of Joe Mixon. So, Derrick Henry recently said he wants to put in the work to be able to hold up a trophy at the end of the year for the Ravens. This is what he said. I really want to hold that trophy up at the end of the year, but it starts right now, putting the work in. It's been fun getting to know everybody, putting the work in, something I love to do. I'm the new guy on the block. I wanted to make sure that I show up, show my teammates and this organization that I'm here. I'm committed. Lamar's a cool guy. You could tell he's a great leader and how everybody flocks to him. He has great energy as well. I've only been around for a little bit, but he seems like a great guy. His body of work speaks for itself. And yeah, I mean, listen, I loved this move for the Ravens, and I think he's going to play really well. He's in the right spot. And again, he's at that age where, running backs, start to decline. And maybe you saw a little bit of that last season with some of the games, but again, the Titans weren't very good. Now he steps into a better situation with the Ravens, a team that loves to run the football. And I think Derrick Henry is still going to show you that he's got some mileage left on him. And I expect him to go out there and play really well for the Ravens. And the other thing, too, is if they make it back to a championship game, you would think that the Ravens are going to run the ball more than they did, which was, right, wasn't it 6 times? Yeah. When you got Derrick Henry, you got to run the ball more than 6 times. So maybe 7, right? That's not bad. Yeah, I mean, listen, his aspiration, he's got Super Bowl aspirations. And the Ravens, are they a team that could definitely make it to the Super Bowl? Or can make it to a Super Bowl? Yeah. The problem is, like everybody else is going to have that same problem, you got the Kansas City Chiefs standing in your way. And they're a team that has had a problem beating the Chiefs, as well as many others. They're not the only ones. How many times have we talked about the Bills and their problems beating the Chiefs in the playoffs? But they're a team that could definitely do it. And I think one of the big things is, and it's something I always talk about, is health. And the Ravens, for the most part last year, were healthy. Lamar Jackson was healthy. I mean, the last couple of seasons, Lamar Jackson has, gotten hurt. They had to play the Bengals in the playoff game the year before with Tyler Huntley as their quarterback. And actually, they almost won that game. J.K. Dobbins, he runs that touchdown in instead of it getting batted out, and Sam Hubbard picks it up and runs it back for a touchdown. That's 7 points going the other way. If the Ravens score, I mean, who knows? Maybe they pull off the upset. But with Lamar Jackson healthy, he went out there, he had a solid year, wins MVP. And the Ravens, they were the 1 seed. The defense played really well too. That was a strength of the team. I mean, they did only lose to the Chiefs 17-10. I mean, it was a defensive game. The Ravens really hurt themselves with fumbles and Lamar Jackson throwing an interception basically into triple coverage. Isaiah Likely's holding his hand up, throw me the ball, and Lamar throws a pick six, an interception. He threw a pick trying to get 6. There you go. That's what I was trying to say. But it's just they had a chance, and they ended up losing. And now, does Derrick Henry get them over that hump? We'll see. Again, there is some risk with him because, again, he's 30 years old, and he's had to deal with some injuries. But this could definitely be a slam dunk. And when you got him and Lamar Jackson in the same backfield, that read option is going to be a nightmare for teams. Because Lamar Jackson could take off and run with it for a big game. And then you got Derrick Henry, who could take it right up the middle, and he could take it to the house. So that's one tandem that I'm really looking forward to watch in 2024, and how they're able to feed off of each other. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I did a segment earlier, or from like a month ago or so. John Harbaugh's excitement over getting Derrick Henry and him talking about how, this guy tormented them in the playoffs. And in regular season games as well. I mean, you had the playoff game when they were the 1 seed, back Lamar Jackson's first MVP. Derrick Henry tormented them. Threw a touchdown pass in that game too. And then you had the following season, he had that game winner in overtime. Derrick Henry's had some big games against them. He also played well against them when they played overseas. But now they have him on their team, and they're very happy about that. And again, like I said, I'm looking forward to see how he is in this offense. And the other thing too is how the Ravens are going to approach this draft, because I think again they're another team that I would see them drafting a receiver. Right? They could probably use another one. I like their tight ends. Zay Flowers got himself into trouble this offseason, but it seems like that was resolved. So, but I could definitely see them maybe adding another receiver in the draft. Maybe. But we'll see. We'll see. So, but again, having Derrick Henry on this team, it's really going to help them out. And again, looking forward to, see what him and Lamar Jackson can do together. So the other running back that I wanted to touch upon too is Joe Mixon, because there was an article, of the Texans talking about Mixon, the general manager for the Texans, talking about Mixon. And this is what the general manager of the Texans had to say. So he talked about the acquisition. He said Joe was set to be released. This is from Nick Caserio. I hope that's how I pronounce it. Or Caserio. Joe was set to be released. He was a player that we evaluated and we thought could help our team in some capacity. So the earlier question you get on the phone, talk to the team, hey, we'd be interested. Would you guys be willing to give up a pick? Or if we gave up a pick, would you be interested? That's kind of how the trade was created, just relative to the commitment we made to Joe. Joe has been a productive player, pretty consistent player, and we think he can help our team. We're glad he's here, hopefully for a few more years. That's how that all sort of came together. And, this comes off of, also in the article, Devin Singletary, going to the Giants. That's kind of what opened the door for them to go after Mixon. And, I'm interested, interested to see how he does now in Houston. I mean, I think that's a good spot for him. The Bengals, there was a lot of, speculation on whether they were going to keep him or, cut him. I mean, it looked like that was going to be the case, but then the Texans came in and said, hey, we'll trade for him. And that's what they ended up doing. Because now the Bengals, they brought in Zach Moss, and, after his good 2023, and they also had Chase Brown, who was making plays towards the end of the year, one of their rookies. So that's what they're going to roll with in 2024, unless, they draft somebody else, which is a possibility. But Joe Mixon in Houston, and Mixon, was decent in 2023. And again, this is a good spot for him in Houston. I mean, the Texans, they're going to be a team that's going to be throwing the ball a lot more than running it. And Singletary had a good year for them last year. And Mixon, he finished with over 1,000 yards. He had 9 touchdowns. So, I mean, he's coming off of a solid year. And, the Texans are taking a chance on him. I mean, they got, they added him. The bigger acquisition this offseason was getting Diggs. So, again, this is another team here. Really looking forward to see what they can do in 2024 as well. C.J.Stroud in year 2 as well. I don't expect Joe Mixon to, I think when comparing the two running backs here, and Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon, I think Derrick Henry's going to have the better year. But I think that's also because the Ravens are going to be running the ball. But again, I don't expect Joe Mixon to have, be fantastic. I mean, he could probably get to 1,000 yards, close to that. But, again, he's another running back that's getting up there in age for a running back. So, he's on the downside. But, again, new destination with a good team. I mean, I think he'll be all right for them. And also the other thing, too, is, Dameon Pierce, who he had a good rookie season. Last year, disappointment. They ended up putting him on special teams. So he really fell off. Now, he's still with them. And, he might get some opportunities. But he's going to have to earn it. Unless the Texans, let him go. But, he was someone that was, he made plays his rookie season. He seemed like he was going to be the guy. And then they brought in Devin Singletary. Well, the other thing, too, is you had D'Amico Ryans coming in. A whole new regime. So that also played a role in it, too. But he really just got phased out. Because, he wasn't playing well. Devin Singletary was. And Devin Singletary got more of an opportunity. So, Dameon Pierce, he's going to have to try to earn it back. But Joe Mixon is the lead guy. And, again, I think it was a good move for the Texans because, they lost Singletary, so they looked for a replacement. They get Joe Mixon, who was most likely on his way out in Cincinnati. And let's see what he does in Houston. Again, good spot for him. But again, with a team that is going to be more of a passing team, which, again, when you got the weapons that they have and the quarterback that they have, I mean, that's what you expect. But I don't think, Mixon's not going to, when you have the pass catchers that they have, that definitely takes pressure off of him. So, again, we'll see. Let me know what you guys think, though, about both of these running backs here with Derrick Henry. What do you think? How far do you think the Ravens can go in 2024? And Joe Mixon, what do you expect him to do in Houston? And do you expect him to be there long term? Because again, they say they want him to be there for many years, but again, he's approaching that age where he's going to be on the downside, and I don't know how long it's going to work out in Houston, but again, we'll see. So, but before we go into our next break, I just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So, when we come back from our second break of the show, we're going to talk about the Jets. A couple things with them regarding Zach Wilson, as well as what are they going to do with their first pick in the NFL draft, which is coming up on Thursday. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.